Hi, I'm Greg Dell with Attorneys Dell and Schaefer, and today I'm going to talk to you about a very common question I get, which is how do I determine my date of disability? Now, I can tell you that this is probably one of the most important aspects of any claim for long-term disability insurance benefits, and it's important for a multitude of reasons. Number one, most people who apply for disability have what's called a group or employer-provided long-term disability policy, and what that means is that that policy will only cover you for the period of time in which you're employed. So if you get terminated and then the next day want to file for disability, technically you're not going to be eligible because you have to become disabled while you still have coverage under the policy. Now, there are exceptions to that where you could have possibly been working with your particular medical condition, struggling through your work, and then we can try to backdate the claim to say you were disabled even though you were still working. But that's a rare scenario that happens as well, where someone gets fired and then wants to backdate their disability claim. So in a situation where you have the opportunity and you're watching this video and you're thinking about, I may need to file for disability, you have to be extremely cautious, because if you were to be terminated, your coverage technically ends and it makes it very hard to file your claim. If you don't have a group or employer-provided policy, which is governed by a law called ERISA, which I've also done a lot of videos on that you can search on our YouTube channel and learn all about ERISA, then you don't have this issue as to whether or not you're going to be terminated and whether or not you could still apply for long-term disability benefits. So that's the first point, is make sure you're still employed and you stop work or get out of work while having your sickness so that you could file. The second issue I want to talk about is this exact date in which you're going to select, because everybody calls and they say, well, what should my date of disability be? And that requires a complete review of your file, because there has to be a coordination between when you stopped working or reduced your duties at work and your medical support. So you can't just say that, well, I stopped working 30 days ago, but 6 months before that I started seeing the doctor, so can we make my date of disability 6 months earlier? It doesn't work like that. You have to coordinate with your doctor, have the medical support, and physically stop working the duties in which you were doing. So for example, to keep it easy, if 30 days ago you called in sick and you haven't been back to work since then, and you were having ongoing medical treatment prior to the date in which you stopped working, then you could comfortably say that that particular day 30 days ago would be your date of disability. Other factors that have to be considered when choosing your date of disability is the language in your policy. There may be some critical factors that will determine what date you want to choose, and sometimes there's some flexibility. And if you're in a situation where you're not claiming disability due to an accident, meaning you were in a horrific car accident or you tripped or some kind of injury that you sustained, then you do have the ability to somewhat plan for your date of disability, because you're likely suffering with some kind of chronic medical condition, illness, or some kind of disease that you've been diagnosed with, and you tried to work through this medical condition for a period of time. So if you're in that situation, then you have the ability to try to plan. And the planning gives you the benefit to say, what particular date will maximize my benefits? Because sometimes if you're coming near year end, there may be a factor of a particular bonus you're going to get that's going to make your pre-disability earnings higher. Because a lot of disability benefits are calculated based upon a percentage of what you were previously earning. So you have to take that into consideration. If you have an individual policy, then you have a flat monthly fee that you bought, not monthly fee, but monthly benefit amount that you contracted for. But if you're going to go residually disabled, then it would be a percentage of your pre-disability income. So you want to pick a date that's going to maximize your pre-disability income, meaning make it a higher number so that if you have a loss of income in the future, the pre-disability income number is higher and you don't have to lose as much money to maximize your benefit. And that was not a detailed explanation of what it is, and I'm just talking in general terms, because I also have other videos about a residual disability analysis, which I encourage you to look at. So choosing the date of disability is critical, because the first thing the disability company is going to do is they're going to say, number one, is this person even eligible for coverage on this date? The next thing they're going to do is they're going to look at it and say, do you have the medical support necessary to support your date of disability? So this is just a nutshell summary of why it's so important to choose your disability date. What I'd love for you to do is contact myself or any of our disability attorneys. The first thing we want to do is take a look at your disability policy, provide you with a free initial consultation where we'll review all the language in your policy, talk about your medical treatment, talk about your employment status, and then talk about the options that you have moving forward. And again, this is a complimentary free review that we do. At that time, we'll advise you as to what we think the probability is for you to collect on your benefits, the fees that we would charge you to help you. And the other thing that you should know is that we're available to represent you anywhere in the country. Our clients are located all over the country, and in this COVID world that we're living in, everything is remote anyhow, and we've been a paperless law firm for more than 10 years. So it makes it a very easy transition for us to work with you no matter where you live. You never need to leave your home, and everything will be done via email or fax for us to work together. So we look forward to the opportunity to speak with you, and we ask that if you like our videos that you subscribe to our channel, as we're regularly putting out these videos on a weekly basis. And we want you to be an educated disability claimant so that you know what to expect and you can put yourself in the best position to get your benefits paid.